In this video, we are going to talk about the difference between private and public sector. So as we had discussed in class, we had this question, explain the difference between the private and public sector. And to answer this question, we will look into just three different differences, three areas where public and private sectors are different. The first is the revenue part. We know that public sector organizations are funded by the government, and we can think of in India, let's say the Indian Railways. Even though Indian Railways can generate their own income through issue of tickets to passengers and freight charges to carry goods, even then the government funds a lot of money in terms of modernization or growth or some sort of development for the Indian Railways. So we see public sector companies, public sector organizations are funded by the government. And from where does government get the money? These are taxpayers' money. On the other hand, private sector rely on the initial seed capital from the owners, the initial money investment that the owners had put into. And then as the company or the business starts operations, they sell their goods and services, they earn revenue out of it. So this is the first and most basic difference between private and public sector company. The second difference is in terms of accountability. Private sector businesses are accountable to their customers and to their shareholders or the owners. We realize that private sector businesses cannot do whatever they want to do in terms of what they want to manufacture and what they want, at what price they would like to sell, because customers always have a choice to shop around. They can always go to some other businesses, so they are accountable to the customers in maintaining the quantity, quality and price of the product. At the same time, they are accountable to the shareholders or the owners that they are receiving a fair amount of returns on their investment. Accountability in the public sector organization is more political, because these organizations are accountable to the politicians, the ministers who are in power, who are in government, and if they are following the policies, decisions made by the people in the government. The third and the last difference between private and public sector is in terms of competition. Consumer sovereignty is an idea that is associated with private sector business, as we have just mentioned, that consumers or customers always have the option to try another business. If they don't like your business, if they don't like your product that you're selling or the price that you are offering, they would always have the opportunity to walk out, go and buy from somewhere else. And this is what we notice in private sector businesses, that there is competition. There is always someone else who might be wanting to produce a better quality at a cheaper price, giving you competition. But when we come to public sector organizations, we see a very limited degree of competition. For example, if you talk about the Indian Railways, practically there is no competition to the Indian Railways, because there is no other entity which is also offering railway services. However, that is in a limited sense, because if I were to choose to travel to a particular place, I can either choose to go by train, or I can also choose to take a bus or take a flight. So in that way, there is a limited degree of competition, but not really a direct competition. So these are some of the differences, three differences rather, which you could mention in your answer as you answer to this question, the difference between private and public sector.